With the campaign requiring a bit more work to schedule and mix, the Trinity has assembled to provide a standard episode of Cantina Chronicles as an interstitial before their next adventure in the galaxy far, far away. In this episode, the trio discuss the hunt for Ben Solo and share all their spicy takes on the now-canceled project. After talking Ben Solo and the Star Wars development pipeline in general, the crew move on to their review of the novel Star Wars Sanctuary by Lamar Giles. Let's go! All right, welcome to Cantina Chronicles. This is a weekly Cantina crawl across the Star Wars galaxy where we have delightful discourse about all things Star Wars, including news, notes, and theory, synthesizing all media. We contextualize your canon. We're your landing pad for all things Star Wars. Grab a seat and let's chop it up. Grant and Adam, Sagrona Tima. How we doing, guys?
Good. Sagrona Tima. Yeah.
All right, so
I'm looking for Ben Solo. Have you seen him? I'm on this hunt, and I can't find him.
I think we need to hunt for him somewhere. Yes.
Yeah. If you keep hunting, you might find Ben Solo. We are gathered today in the hull of a CIS cruiser while Pixel Senku pilots us towards Rhodia. But we're enjoying some jet juice right here.
Actually, it's a Sheathapede Type B shuttle.
Thank you.
Not known to be capable of hyperspace transit, but in this case, it does have hyperdrive capabilities.
Yes. And so we're taking a little break from the campaign because we missed talking about other Star Wars that was not created by Grant and us.
Yeah.
So yeah,
official Star Wars. We're speaking of official Star Wars news and Star Wars today, which is good.
Yeah. But it's great. It's good to be talking to you guys about this stuff. So we missed a bunch of topics, and obviously the hunt for Ben Solo cancellation was a massive thing. So I didn't follow this story very closely. I just sort of saw it and was like, okay, another one bites the dust. But what can you guys sort of let me know what this was all about?
Sure. Adam, you want to take it or?
Yeah, I can do a little bit and jump in, because I don't think any of us were following it that closely because it also was a weird story where it was just like, oh, this happened, by the way. And like, it was very under the radar. It wasn't like a big, it just came up in something he was just talking about. He was just talking about a ton of other stuff. And he's like, oh, by the way, I wish I could do that Star Wars thing. And I was just like, wait, what?
I'm sorry.
Ben Solo experience?
Yeah. And it just sounds like the thing that's always crazy to me is that he and Soderbergh and Driver were working on the script. I mean, the script was completed, right? Like they had a completed script.
From what I heard, it was a completed script that Soderbergh and Steven Soderbergh and Adam Driver were pretty hyped about, and they brought it to Lucasfilm just on a whim, I think, too. Just sort of like, hey, let's just see if they like this because we really like this. And Soderbergh, I think, on his I think he had watched all the films. He has a personal blog, and I think he'd written all these sort of posts about watching Star Wars, admiring Star Wars, the craft, everything, and super steeped in Star Wars for a time being. I imagine that was during the writing process of this film, and who knows if this was just a single film or another trilogy of films, who knows, but from what I know, there was a completed script, and they did bring it to Lucasfilm, and it got the sign-off of Kathy, Dave Filoni,
wow.
Carrie Beck, I imagine, all the executives at the top. And so, but then, the story goes that they brought it to, Disney corporate, and Iger and Alan Bergman sort of turned it down and said, there's no way that Ben Solo is alive after The Rise of Skywalker, which is, I hate to side with the suits on this, but it's a tough thing to bring a character back in Star Wars, even though it's known to be possible, especially through dark science and Sith magic or whatever.
Sith,
whatever our guy says. Our favorite.
That's the other thing is we literally could find 5 ways to bring it back pretty quickly, but any of those 5 ways are going to feel a little forced. And I totally get that. The thing that's weird to me is, why is Bob Iger suddenly the keeper of the lore of Star Wars saying this isn't real? Like if Kennedy, Favreau, and Filoni say this makes sense and there's a way to do it, then there's a way to do it that I think I'd be satisfied with. But I don't know.
Do we know if Bob Iger and the Iger and
like
the
that's it now. It's always
Igor.
Yes,
he just he lives at the top of the tower,
and the Grand Wizards at the top of the Disney or actually read this treatment or whatever was made by Soderbergh and Driver. Mm-hmm. Because I'm sure they had a very organic way to explain why he why and how he came back. If Kathy says it's there, then I think it's there. And I had to look at like Soderbergh's IMDb because I was like, obviously I recognize the name, but I'm like, what's he in? Like, what did he do? And I mean, some of that stuff's amazing.
Oh man, he's one of my favorite filmmakers. I'm like the biggest fan of Soderbergh, and I would never, side against Soderbergh for anything because I think he's just a master filmmaker, and I love I think he's made one of the best TV shows known to man in the Nick. Sex, Lies, and Videotapes blew my mind. Obviously the Ocean's movies, Solaris,
Contagion
Traffic.
Was like a classic.
There's so many incredible films that he's done, and it's
Magic Mike.
Like I imagine, Magic Mike. I imagine a Star Wars film would be a truly special, unique experience, and like. As much as I want that, I'm also just worried about like the context of how we do this film around Ben Solo. Like I almost think like I would more so want like a Dr. Aphra movie from Steven Soderbergh where it's like, hey, here's thick as thieves scholars running around the galaxy. Like that is cool. Like that is a really cool idea. For him especially because it's like an Ocean's movie, right? And he's done the Ocean.
I love that take. Grant, because I never would have thought of him for an Aphra movie, but he would totally
that'd be perfect. You would nail an Aphra movie.
Yeah,
I do have a theory about this, and I wanted to throw it to you guys.
Well, I have theories too, so let's see.
Okay, my theory is that they may have worked out a way in which Ben Solo survives or comes back to life, or it's a sort of spirit quest sort of journey within the Force to I don't know, find Ben Solo original good self and sort of return it to the fold in some way. But I have to think when they brought it to Lucasfilm, they're like, well, in the story group and Filoni, I'm sure they were like, well, we have a way in which this can work. And it's either going to work. I almost think you either don't get Ahsoka season 2, or you either get Ahsoka season 2 or you get this. And basically, they're going to use their World Between Worlds in live action in a major way. Ugh. It's either going to happen in a way to bring back Adam Driver to the Star Wars canon, which is huge because you're getting a monumental actor back into Star Wars canon, or it's going to be an Ahsoka, Mortis God, Sabine and Ahsoka travel back to the known galaxy using the World Between Worlds, which is kind of lackluster in comparison to what you could. It's almost like maximizing the gains of using something like that because you're getting Adam Driver back into Star Wars films, which is, I think a lot of people want that because they loved the Ben Solo Kylo Ren character.
That's very possible. But I mean, the fact that Dave Filoni signed off on the script meant he was willing to either share that concept or, I mean, is more probable it didn't overlap. And
sure. It's my theory. My theory is just if you're going to
his baby.
Yeah.
But that's a good theory. I mean, I think that very much could be it, but I don't know.
I could see that. That was Grant. That's my theory too.
That's your same theory.
It was the World Between Worlds, and I like what you're saying because we know. I mean, we don't know, but they're going to use it again in Ahsoka season 2, right? I mean, like it's pretty certain they're going to use it for something. And Filoni doesn't mind sharing, right? He shares his characters. He likes building a world. But I wonder if Iger was like, or some people was like, that we can't keep. This is like too much of a reset, easy solution. Like you can't keep going back to this, which doesn't, again, it's so weird because they're not creatives, but as a creative I'd be like, you can't have this giant reset button that's always there because then nothing matters because you just go to the World Between Worlds and do it again.
That was why I had that response because I'm just, it's such a third rail, like it's such a dangerous fault line next to Star Wars with the World Between Worlds, where it's like nothing matters anymore. It's like it could just completely undermine, if we're not careful with it, like everything that we've loved about Star Wars our whole lives. And I really don't want to see that happen. And I think, they're not stupid. These aren't stupid people running. They're very talented creatives that are running Star Wars. And I don't think they would let that happen. It's just like, I can't believe how daring Filoni is to walk that close to a fault line that can undermine everything. And like, he must understand that.
Could be used against him at some point. Like, like really could just be, if they're ever, because there's so many quote unquote fanboys out there that have talked about using the World Between Worlds to basically reboot, reset everything. And if Disney gets to that point, because we've done that before. We will reset canon. That happens in film industries before, is like you have the perfect like nuclear detonation in the world between worlds where you can just reset it.
Okay,
yeah, I keep thinking Marvel's going to do this, right? I keep thinking, when they did the Multiverse of Madness, I was like, oh, Scarlet Witch is going to reset the MCU, and we're going to have a fresh slate.
Are going to come from.
Did not happen. And still, I think will never happen unless maybe Doomsday is that film.
They might do a little bit within that Doomsday just to justify some things. So a couple things I want to say about it is that part of me thinks like I cannot believe that Iger and the executives had any creative reason to veto this, because they're not creatives, right? And so I'm trying to think like in their brain.
And they want movies. Like this is a good
I think
they're super risk adverse. That's why we're getting the Mandalorian and Starfighter movie. Those are the next two movies. Soderbergh is great. He's great. He also is a bit of a risk. He has as many like giant films he's got flops. That man can flop a film, right?
Oh, I don't think Presence did too well. And again, that's a ghost film. And Solaris Presence, I imagine, will be like sort of the vein that he's tapping into for this hunt for Ben Solo film, right? Dealing with the paranormal, or not paranormal, but the apparition of Ben Solo, possibly.
And the other thing is, you also now are paying him a director's fee, which is going to be a lot more than a lot of the other directors that have been on this list. And you got to pay Driver, who is not going to come cheap at this point. So you're already adding money into that. Plus, I'm guessing Soderbergh, my whole theory about this whole thing is that he wanted Final Cut, and they were like, no. Like that was probably, I'm guessing that Kathy was like, we trust him, Final Cut. And the executives were like, no way.
It's kind of funny though, because like, as you know, Bob Iger has this reputation for being a sort of talent focused executive. And like, wouldn't you want to sort of lock in these, expert filmmakers, these master filmmakers into your sort of stable of creatives? And I feel like I was saying earlier, like almost like, hey, how about maybe do an AFRA so we can just see what the flavor of your Star Wars is? And then if you're right to sort of deal with a main saga character in a major way like this, maybe we just see what this AFRA looks like, and then we do that. Yeah. Sort of like lead him to doing that movie he wants to do, but sort of like just seeing what the director's cut looks like, right?
Yeah. I mean, so what you're talking about is something we've talked about extensively before. It's sort of like, what if we flipped the direction from which Star Wars like creative motivations came? Like, what if actually there was stories at the story group at the center, and they were pushed out towards great filmmakers, and like, hey, how would you do with this story? It doesn't seem like it's working that way yet, though I think it's a fantastic idea. And I just think, but this is the model that they've been following for the past 10 years or so, where it's like you have a great creative and a motivated actor that loves Star Wars, that have really down the rabbit hole, that want to make a thing. I mean, this is what happened with Andor. We had Tony Gilroy, who was just sort of like, he got steeped in it through the Rogue One experience and was like, you know what, I could tell an amazing story in my wheelhouse of, studying history and revolutions and really do something great for you. And you got some magic. And I mean, so this, so I'm just saying, it's like, there's a big juicy fruit right there. Like, I don't understand why you wouldn't pluck it.
Yeah. I just don't get to just killing the project. Like, I don't, that's what I kind of don't understand in all of this.
There's more going on here that we don't know. And I'd be fascinated.
And I always thought Adam Driver was kind of like lukewarm on Star Wars.
So did I.
Not in a bad. I mean, he slayed. Like, he was great, and it's just amazing. Like I don't know. He's never just like he never like geeked out. Like, it was my favorite thing. I love Star Wars. I mean, I've definitely heard him in interviews be like,
I think
it was an influential movie, but
no, I think
the fact that he was so. Like thinking about him and Soderbergh in the hills of like Hollywood, in like one of those beautiful mid-century modern mansions at a coffee table with a roaring fire, going like spitballing ideas about a new Star Wars, makes my like soul so warm, and just like and then just to have that be like, no, like billionaires win again, and capitalism and the AI degradation of creativity down to like homogeneity and boring, like it really crushes my soul, and then inversely crushes my soul.
Like starfighters going pew pew in space.
I mean, it does feel like it's going that way, and I mean, I think we're we're on the same side where we think like safety in Star Wars is the wrong direction.
Exactly.
Like,
100%. It's almost like it needs to be less corporatized.
Right. That's not what Star Wars is. It's not safe. It's new. It's fresh. It's exciting.
It's like the biggest. I like the idea of being a big budget indie film. That's almost like what I like.
Which is also, do you want that? Get Soderbergh, because that's a really good big budget indie director. And so a couple things. One thing real quick that's just driving me nuts is because, again, Grant, I agree like how hard it would be to make the story happen. But me, one of the biggest complaints is in Star Wars is, oh, I'm good again and I'm dead. Right? Like there's none of the work that goes into redemption. And so what really struck me about this is like we would get that movie, right? We would get the movie of the villain survives and has to then like literally the hunt for his soul, like to figure out who is Ben Solo now that I've had this history of just horrible things. Like that's a movie I want to see. The other thing is I am so sick of the Suits being like every single Disney movie has to make $1 billion or $2 billion to be successful. Right. This movie could have been made for $200 million.
Which is a lot of money. It could have been made for $100 million.
$100 million, but $200 million, and you make 600 million, which is not hard for a movie to make. And then you suddenly are like, you're making so much money. It's just like they are banking way too much on some of these things. Like scale back the size of some of these Star Wars movies.
It's not Star Wars' responsibility to save film and theaters. Like it's just
right, and the ability to cheat death is some actual line spoken in Star Wars, and I wouldn't be surprised if that's sort of what some of the impetus is to do this film, is to sort of show that plague is science, or to show the Sidious sort of like angle of what that looks like, maybe for like the light side, and maybe only the light side can do this, and that's maybe a secret of it all. And there's sort of a Leslie Headland sort of a Virgin situation as well happening in this.
Here's a quick pitch.
Yeah.
So we know Luke still is a Force ghost, right? He still has a ton of guilt about everything that happened. What if he can somehow use all of his, he just basically wipes himself out, uses all of his abilities to bring Solo back to life. So he basically just completely sacrifices himself to the Force to bring bring Ben back, right? Boom. There you go.
I think, all right. Yeah.
Yeah. You give the nice little thing of like, there's redemption for Luke, and now he can go do it that his dad couldn't do. Like, anyway, it's not great, but it's something. Like,
I've got something. Can I give a pitch?
Do it.
Go for it.
I've just come up with this during this conversation. Okay. So opening scene, submersible on that planet where the Death Star fell. So wait, it's Endor.
Kef beer? No, not Kef.
Oh, Kef beer.
Is it?
Beer. Yeah, it's Kef beer. Yeah, real close.
Good job. And it's swimming through the ocean, and we see some black hooded characters, and they use the articulating arm, and they grab the cross hilt lightsaber off the ocean floor and pull it into the submersible. Exegol is filled with necromancers. It's all necromancers, right? Like that was their sole thing. And like, it exploded, but we have to think some survived, right? And then it's revealed the dark science that was able to connect with Palpatine. So you know how Palpatine had 2 lightsabers in the Clone Wars, but then we only ever saw one. The other one was left on Exegol in case of his death, where they would use his Kyber crystal as a resonance through spirituality, time and space, to be able to instantiate their soul back into the world. This is what they'd already figured out.
I'm aggressively clapping right now. You can't hear it, but it's,
you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, and then so now we answer 2 questions with one. How was Palpatine brought back? How was, they're using the same technique to bring Kylo Ren back, because they think, he's him, and because they're using his dark crystal, that they'll get the dark, Kylo Ren back. But what's going to happen is he's been infused, he's exchanged energy with Rey so many times that he's actually found the light and the sacrifice play of his mom. And so he starts absorbing life force from evil things, but then realizes he needs to come back to the good, and he absorbs life force from the good. You know what I mean? And it writes itself. He gets out of there, and it's him coming back to the light as a physically instantiated person. But I think he still feels persona non grata in the galaxy, right? Because he's has to live with the actions of Kylo Ren. So he's on the fringes.
Yeah.
I don't know. And so that's where you get this.
I can't wait for you to see Dune Messiah, Ben. You're going to be very excited about clones and their moral alignment.
I don't know. Again, that was 5 minutes and half a cocktail. And
that's great.
And that's the point that illustrates that, like, yes, it's hard to do, but if you really want to do it, you can find a way that's going to work. Right.
Yeah.
And what I like about yours, Ben, too, is it also explains why this is not something you're not going to have another film where they're just like, well, why don't you just pull the Hodel maneuver? Oh, that was a 1 in a million shot, which is like one of the laziest things. Like, no, it's not. You just point a starship and
do it again.
Do it again.
Sure.
So yours is a very unique set of circumstances that would be nearly impossible to duplicate in the future. Right. Which I like. So yeah.
I for me, when I was watching the sequels, I felt that there was something lacking with the Kylo Ren character, And I saw a glimmer of it in The Last Jedi when he's crawling around in the TIE silencer and nearly blowing up, or I guess blowing up the ship, or not taking the shot on the ship, whereas the TIEs behind him shoot the proton torpedoes, blow up the bridge or whatever. But he has a little whimper he does for his mother, who's on the ship, and it's a glimmer of his sort of regret and his guilt and his shame and his anguish over being disconnected from his mother.
Yeah.
But it's just a hint of that. And then there's just an aspect to the Ben Solo Kylo Ren character that was just not explored in the sequels at all, which could have been fully fleshed out in the sequels. And like easily, if you're talking about running time and what would take too long to show, or, I'm thinking to myself, motion picture language is all show don't tell, and you could do this in montages very quickly, and you could get that all done, and it could all be in there. It was just not in those films, and I have to think Soderbergh was like, "Wow, this is just not in these films." This whole aspect of the goodness within and his past and the past, right? What his past was, who he was, all that sort of stuff is just not in those films. And when you look at the legacy of the character, is only half baked, essentially.
Yeah.
And so Soderbergh and Driver are like, hey, what if we made the legacy, the 100-year legacy of this character be something far more profound than what it's been left at, which is this weird romance, this easy turn back to the light, this sort of like Adam was saying, it's just sort of like Easy Street for what this character does, and sort of how it's just an echo of Vader, and it's just not enough for Star Wars fans, or for the importance of the character, or how important the character could be.
It's also hard too. I feel like there's so many things off about Rise of Skywalker, but and his turn's one of them. But when he suddenly becomes Ben Solo again, like those 5 minutes are electric. Like he is a completely different character. He does that job so well. He's so charming, and I'm like, I can't believe on set they were like, we can't kill this character. Like we have a gold here.
I find it a little ironic that people worship the Ben Solo moments of Rise of Skywalker, yet negate that for Luke Skywalker. Like the same people who worship the Ben Solo return I'm not trying to pin this to any demo of people, but it's ironic to me that there's a lot of people who love the Ben Solo heroism, and then they're the same, the same voices I've heard sort of negate the idea of a Luke Skywalker heroism moment within those films.
Tell me more. What specifically, Luke's? Are you talking Return of the Jedi Luke Skywalker?
No, just the idea that Luke could have been a sort of I don't know, just more heroics with Luke, a couple more samplings of heroics with Luke, and instead of just one overarching heroic moment, and sort of not wanting that or not liking that idea. And
I didn't know those voices were out there.
They're out there.
They we don't want to see more good Luke being good.
Good Luke doing anything cool, fighting off a bunch of knights around.
Really?
They don't want to see that. No.
Wow.
They think it's fresh not to see that, essentially.
My first blanch at that information is that Adam Driver is a world-class actor. And I think the nuance of his performance, where he evoked Harrison Ford, was so beautiful. Good, I think that's why I was drawn to it, and I think that's why a lot of people were drawn to it. And love Mark Hamill, he's super great, but he didn't have that sort of source material to latch onto. We sort of got what we got in Mandalorian, spoilers, season 2, but it's kind of one-dimensional. Farm boy wants to be good, is good, kind of bumbles his way into heroism.
He's not Han. He's not charismatic. He's earnest, right? And
I'm one of those people who didn't really want a lot of heroics from Luke either, so I'm kind of being a hypocrite here. But it's just funny that I just feel like it's funny to see where interest lies in the sequel trilogy, because I'm kind of I don't understand any of it, honestly, because I kind of would have gone a completely different direction from the very get-go. But it's interesting what people like, what moments people like to watch.
You're right, though. I mean, there's a lot of meat left on the bone there, and I mean, it would be great to explore that in a fun way. And really, we saw Darth Vader sort of deathbed repentance, And then we had the same thing with Kylo Ren, even though he was like, but like, how prescient would it be to have a character that knows and I guess they kind of did this with Rey, but they did it with Rey, but I'd like to see it with Luke, where it's like, they are bad. They are evil. Like, they did a ton of evil things, but trying to be a good person to get away, to lose their dark side tendencies, that are striving for the light, even though they've been evil for so long, they don't know how to be it any other way. It's like it's a metaphor for self-improvement and mindfulness and trying to like, conquer the evil within. And like, I think that's a story that would resonate with a lot of people, and you could do that in this movie.
But at the same time, I do think that the Han Solo moment on Kef Beer is a great turn moment for all the faults that Rise of Skywalker has. I do think the turn moment for Ben Solo is quite powerful, and and I wonder, I don't remember, but like, how many lines does he have after that moment?
None. He has
zero. He has zero.
He's like, ouch.
Yeah. His only line is ouch.
Ouch is the only thing.
It's literally the only thing he says.
So do people want more characterization of that version of the character? Like, they want more characters. Yeah. I almost think
I do. I don't know about people.
That's a problem. It's almost like Book of Boba Fett. Like, I almost think that's a huge issue. Like, there's certain things in Star Wars I almost
be careful
think should be left with some mystique, because like, if you just sort of like show more insight into that version of Ben Solo, the Rise of Skywalker might just be the worst film ever made at that point. Like, it's like the only good moment of that movie is almost the turn, and then him not saying anything is with the mystique of that is almost like very very profound. It is. And like, for a movie that has a ton of flaws and is just regarded as almost like the laughing stock of all of the saga films.
Sorry, I wasn't talking about retconning Rise of Skywalker. I was talking about the Soderbergh movie, if that was the impetus for it. If the story was sort of this, Ben Solo on his mission to sort of like discover this stuff, but not. I think what was done with Ben Solo, I think his turn at the end there was beautiful. It was like one of the.
It's like one of the best parts of that film.
It is.
It's a tough film.
It's a tough film, and I just always respect that there's no lines. It also shows the power of Adam Driver's acting.
That's interesting.
But just seeing an awesome Ben Solo in a great script written by Soderbergh, like I for a whole movie, like, it doesn't even have to be that deep, and there will be lore, like there has to be, but
it's perfect because the Knights of I almost think if the Knights of Ren weren't dissected in the comics, you could have used them later in this situation, like you're talking about, Ben. Like, it is a cult that resurrects him, but in resurrecting him, they didn't realize they're bringing back the good version, right? It's there's a whole piece to that. I just think you can't do now because the comics have sort of made the Knights of Ren something I think is utterly ridiculous. Like, the Knights of Ren should have been fallen Padawans from Luke's temple, period. Like, full stop.
100%.
Like, that's way more interesting. It's literally it's the only way you could differentiate it from Anakin's fall, right? Like, the Anakin fell alone, whereas Ben could have fallen with other pupils,
taken others with him,
and that's so interesting. That's a new angle we haven't seen before, but they totally botched the Knights of Ren, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. You may love them, and I respect your opinion as well. So
no, you're wrong. People are wrong if they like Knights of Ren, but no, I'm just kidding.
The way they've been portrayed to us, especially the comics, and then now they're sort of like creating origin stories for the Knights of Ren and like some other like books and stuff. So it's like, oh, it's just another Jedi sect, or a Sith sect, but it was like very prominent. Trust us.
And to be fair, I love the writers, without naming any of the writers who are doing this stuff. Like, I really love
doing what's handed to them,
and I love the people who are generating this narrative. But they're almost like, it's almost like backfilling for backfilling's sake, even though it's like, we don't need any of that stuff. It's almost like these movies might be better if you just never talk about those things ever again. Like, the Knights of Ren might be interesting if you just never discuss them ever again.
And I imagine this movie probably doesn't talk about the Knights of Ren at all. I think he thinks he killed them all. So it's like, that's sort of it.
Yeah.
All right. They wouldn't want to resurrect because he killed them.
Yes. Right. And not to open up a whole can of worms here, but if the Knights of Ren were all fallen Padawan, it also might explain why Luke put himself on an island. Kind of like, I only failed one person, but I lost 10.
There's like 7 Jedi coming to kill me. That's terrible.
Yeah. I've created more harm in this series. I've created 10 Sith. I'm out.
Yeah.
Like that. Can you imagine him just be like, Yoda, you POS, like, you told me to pass on what I've learned, and they're all Darksiders.
I've ruined the galaxy.
Why did I ever listen to you?
And it could be a very fascinating study in sort of the structure of a Jedi curriculum, in that, like, with only Luke being at the top, there's not a council at the top, so power is only in confided in one person, and then they all seek that same power. And like, to me, that's very interesting. That, to me, that's just a better version of the Luke Kylo Ren story.
We're breaking this down because basically the Jedi have accidentally created their own rule of two.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this idea that, like, it's all consolidated to one person, and that's a huge issue. And then you have all these people who want to covet that same power, this ultimate power of this Luke Skywalker Jedi Grand Master. And the myth of Luke Skywalker was also the downfall of his temple. And then it also brings hope to the many, like Rey and stuff like that.
Almost like Star Wars is
almost like it could have been good
for storytelling.
Yeah, I know. And it's like, this is the stuff they should be running towards, not sort of shrinking towards like the lowest common denominator. And we'll see. I mean, we don't really have anything to talk about other than the books and the comics. There's no live action. There's nothing really to chew on right now. I think what we're going to do today, we're going to talk about a novel that's long in it was published a while ago and we should have talked about it, but it's a Sanctuary, Bad Batch novel. And we're going to do that today. And then I think probably in 2 weeks, we'll probably release a campaign in the next week or so. But the next regular Cantina Chronicles, we're going to talk about, we're going to catch up on the comics. And I think talk about Visions too. Because that's out and everyone's enjoying that and digesting it. So we'll do that. Okay. Any final words on Ben Solo? I feel like we covered that soup to
I think we'll have more to say when we cover the Legacy of Vader comics as well.
Yeah, we'll definitely be able to build out.
And we got Master of Evil on the horizon, which I'm very excited for.
I'm very excited.
We got the Finn book as well. We got content. We got
we have content to talk about, but it's like, when it's, we all know the premiere lore stuff's only going to happen in the feature films and maybe in the live action TV series. I definitely think Ahsoka 2 is going to be loaded with lore. But and we just don't have any of that stuff to chew on, and we're not going to for another year. So
we're not. Also, for all the people that were disappointed they didn't see action hero Luke, don't worry, you're going to get it in the Mandalorian, guaranteed.
Okay.
The Trinity Adam has predicted in the past.
It's going to happen. I'm doubling, tripling down. I did it today with friends I was talking to. I'm like, I'm getting it out there, so I'm calling it now.
I'll take that.
To me, that's the corporate move, right? Like, that's the Iger. That's the Iger happy bone right there. Why. It's just whoa. Because we could get the Trinity on screen. Let's do it.
Is address all the angry nerds and all the angry nerds were like, we never got to see the three together again. And I'm like, of course they're going to try to fix this.
I'll take that bet, guys. I don't know what I'll bet.
We'll pick a bottle of liquor or something we can buy.
Yeah, no, you have to drive out to Springfield, Mass, and get a 6-pack or a 4-pack.
I'm gonna say de-aged Harrison Ford. I'm gonna say de-aged Harrison Ford because to me the Mando character is, if he was to be closest to any of the original three, I would think it's Han Solo.
Yeah, that'd be exciting.
Yeah, that would be fun. A great meeting.
I mean, a lot of X-wings in the Mandalorian series,
especially if you had Mando, Han, and Boba Fett. That would be an interesting.
That would be awesome. But you cannot have one of the Trinity on screen and not have them all on screen again, because the internet would lose their again. Like, and they're calculated that way. So if you have Han, you're gonna have Luke and Leia together,
and then have 6-year-old Ben Solo or whatever.
Yeah, I love how hopeful you guys are. I'm
not hopeful. I don't want
it. But. Okay, good.
I want it. What the heck? I want it.
Yeah, I don't think I think you're giving Iger too much credit there to actually have that much forethought about this series, like to have that much thought about this series. And this
is Favreau, right? And Favreau, canonically wrote a series about Boba Fett because he just liked the character so much, and it turned into the Mandalorian. And it's like, he does like legacy characters, and he's not afraid to dive in and show them, right? And so, which I think is a great attitude to have. It can't be like these. I don't like the hallowed sort of like gatekeeper aspect of Star Wars. I think you do need to break stuff. And the one thing I really admire about The Last Jedi is sort of like its willingness to break stuff and move in and do stuff that's sort of like feels irreverent, but it's actually just trying to like break through the mold, and I like that stuff too.
So you're going to tell a giant Star Wars story that's on the big screen that takes place a few years after Return of the Jedi, and your average going moviegoer isn't going to be sitting there going, but what about Luke, Han, and Leia? And like, otherwise, if they're not in there, you're gonna have to have the clunkiest exposition to explain they're off doing something else. It's happening.
Well, they've just sort of ignored them. I think Mandalorian and Din Djarin and Grogu have had such success on their own.
Yes,
like they're the ones that are identifiable with the younger generation, and they're the one that achieved like this sort of plurality and the greater zeitgeist of moviegoers. And so I think Iger thinks they can stand on their own, and that people will go just to see them.
Yeah.
My theory is that we're going to see a new Imperial research facility, wherein inside this facility we're going to see more sort of like breadcrumbs to Snoke, essentially.
Snoke's in a tube.
And I think Grogu will interact with Snoke, and I think Snoke it'll be made clear and it'll be made canon that Snoke is a clone of Luke Skywalker, and therefore Grogu has a mirror dynamic with both Luke and Snoke. That's kind of interesting. That'll be my theory. That's my theory.
I like it.
That's great. That would be good. And we do know they're going to be interacting with Imperial, so I mean that would be a great impetus for this plot. And yeah, I mean I think that would be my favorite thing. How many homunculus Snokes do you think Grogu could kill? I think
all of them. I think Grogu's very powerful.
3.5.
3.5 Snokes. I think he could take out.
I like it.
Anything, Grant? I know you're doing that.
No. I'm just thinking. Now I'm just pontificating. I didn't come up with that idea until right the second. I was just like, you know what? That could make sense as a character you could see that's a legacy character. Because like to me, Snoke is another character from the sequels that I was just like, there's just not enough here.
I know.
And like, cool, it's punk rock to sort of kill him. I get it. Great, awesome. I hope you have fun with that. To me, it's like I just want Star Wars villains to have their heyday again. Like I need a good Star Wars villain in either Starfighter or I don't think it's going to happen in this Mando movie. I mean, Thrawn. I guess Thrawn is this new killer villain that we all should love.
The thing is
I'm not there right now.
He is a killer villain, but it's like we're already like now the measuring stick is up next to Timothy Zahn's Thrawn, and it's like yes, that Zahn was a massive hit and a fantastic villain, but it's like you're not even I don't know like are new people that don't know Thrawn like really as enamored with Thrawn as we were reading Heir to the Empire, like the original Thrawn and like the Thrawn novels written by Zahn. Like I love Filoni. He's a great dude, but I'm just like, you're not Timothy Zahn. It's like, it's nothing to be ashamed of. Like,
no, but it's not his strong suit.
Few are, and it's like, it's his character and he breathed life into it. And I just don't think Filoni will ever make Lars Mikkelsen as compelling as that.
Because like, I feel like I could argue that like Palpatine is one of the greatest villains in cinema history. Mm-hmm. And like, I'd almost argue that like, he's a greater villain than Darth Vader in that like, there's 3 more films that sort of like, elucidate on his plotting and his plans, and to me it's like some of the best plotting in all of space fantasy science fiction, like the prequels. I think the prequels are overshadowed by a horribly cheesy tragedy and sort of like some poorly crafted scene work, but like underneath it all there's plotting in those films that is the best plotting ever for any sort of like large scale opera. Space opera, you
were geeking out over this before we started. And I think you're so right, dude. Like we don't give it the recognition that it deserves. That that Palpatine's plan to overthrow the government is insane and it's awesome
and it works.
And it worked. It's like the greatest false flag thing in fiction. It's it's incredible. And I was like, this is not the greatest thing ever. And I just think like it's just overshadowed by a lot of sort of clunky stuff, and it's underneath it all. I think the prequels have the best plot dynamics out of all 3 trilogies, which is crazy to say. That's insane because like the original trilogy, you could argue, is like this beautiful hero's journey that's sort of like is pure myth, and sort of like you're totally getting this coming of age and these wonderful reveals and sort of like just breathtaking, lore and world building. And but like I have to say the prequels just have the best plotting out of all the films, even though
for villains, it's a villain's tale.
Poorly executed, maybe. I don't want to say it's poorly executed. There's things I love in those films, but it's just like, man, if we were to redo those films ever, it's like I could see them just being just the most glorious things of all time.
Yeah. I mean, and I think that's why I always love the prequels. I love them when they came out. I love them now, and they have their clunky moments, but they're beautiful. They're
like Palpatine scenes are almost like A+, every single, like S tier. Like they're just incredible.
It's why I kept watching it. I'm not going to lie and say I love these things forever. I had big problems with them when they came out. I'll be honest. I've learned to love them, but I was never sitting there saying, "Well, the real problem is Palpatine," right? Like that was why I was there. Like, I was there. Like I knew like the juice at that. Like I mean, he never talks about it because it's a cliche, but like the juice that's there at the opera scene is like amazing. It's like top 10.
If that scene's playing, 5. I have to sit down and watch it. Like I have to watch that scene
just because of him. Like his delivery, and he's just such a good character. Yeah,
seething with evil, just like classic acting chops.
Yeah,
just Ian McDermott slaying, and he's like, "I'm gonna lay it down for you, real slick," and just drags him in there, and he's like, "I'm up to something right now." Yeah. Dude, and Williams is picking up what he's putting down, and he's like, "Those little something like,
yeah, like the combination of John Williams' music and Ian McDermott acting is like, I don't know, it's like a zenith of cinema in my opinion." And
I'm literally going to go watch that scene after we're done.
And a 1 and a 2 and a.
It's the best scene, and probably what's my least favorite Star Wars movie.
It's also wild. Like this is what the movie slows down for, is this interaction. It's almost like insane, because you almost like hope, you almost wish that dramatic through line and that sort of scene work was like throughout all 3 films in some way. You know what I mean?
That's what the comics did a lot of service to, be like, oh no, this was happening all the time. This is like what it was like when the two were alone. They throw it back even when he was a Padawan to Obi-Wan, and they're skulking around the underbelly of Coruscant, and but again, that's backfill. It's like it could have been in the films, and that's where it counts. Everything okay over there, Adam?
I just knocked over a bucket of ice, but it's all right.
That's exactly what it sounded like.
It did. Well, that's good Foley work then. You just sound clip that, and then you put it in your sound effects package, and it's great.
Yep, I'll throw that right in my library. That'll be good. Drunk podcaster sabotages ice.
Actually, is that a Cantono? Is that a Wilbur Hood Cantono of ice? Oh my goodness. It is. Wow,
it kind of is a Cantono.
Luckily, it's not my room, so don't worry about the ice. I'm kicking it under the table.
It'll dry.
Not worried about it. Yeah.
You accidentally cleaned some of that industrial carpet.
There you go.
All right, let's pivot over to Bad Batch. A Star Wars Sanctuary, a Bad Batch novel, written by a new author to Star Wars, Lamar Giles. This is great. There's a new wave of first-timer Star Wars authors, and Lamar is very happy to be one of those, and did a fantastic job. And I love this. Yes. I love that they're like, "You're a good writer. You want to write a Star Wars?" And they're like, "Yes, I do."
Just quick side note: anytime where I'm like, there's a novel or a book where I'm like, "No, fine, I'll read it because I read everything," and like. Yeah, same thing. I was just like, I really, really enjoyed this book, which I'm like, good job. Like, get him writing more. He's great.
Yeah, and we were talking about needing good villains, and this is like the Snoke problem, right? Like, I needed to feel more when Snoke died, right? Like Celia Moten, the villain from this book. I mean, I was like, oh, I know it's coming. And it's going to be grand. She is a vile villain for so many reasons, and
we'll get to it.
We'll talk about that more. I actually decided to be a little professional this week, guys. I wrote a review. I remember Grant used to do these.
Yeah.
I'm odd man out this week. I did not read this book, but I'm excited to talk to you. Talk to you guys about it, because I love Bad Batch, obviously, and I know the context of.
And I read it 2 months ago.
Pabu,
cool. So and we'll tell you about it, and you got questions, and we want your response. You're going to be our Gareth in this podcast for all people out there. Okay. So here we go. This is a little synopsis, and I did this for me because I finished it a while ago, and I did it for you, and I did it for Grant.
Thank you.
Okay. Sometime after the Bad Batch arrived on Pabu, and before the end of season 2, the Bad Batch, consisting of Hunter, Tech, Wrecker, Omega, plus Fee Genoa, engage in a heist at a criminal auction to procure funds to rebuild Pabu. with a convoluted story there. Mostly successful, they shuttle off to sell their newly procured item, but are drawn into the trap of galactic trillionaire, art collector, wannabe god, and murderous sociopath Celia Moten. In parallel, ISB agent Central Crane searches the galaxy for his star pupil and killer spy, Gala, aka Sohi. Sohi and her clone husband and baby daddy, Ponder, steals 99's credits from their heist, which alerts Crane. They were marked. The credits were marked, so when they were spent, they could find them.
I got some thoughts about that. We'll go there.
Yep. Okay. It alerts Crane, and now all are drawn into Celia's dominion. Hunter struggles with life beyond war. Tech and Fee are falling in love. Omega wants to see more of the galaxy, and Wrecker is exposed as the wisest and most peaceful Bad 99 member. We're going to talk a lot about Wrecker.
Wait, there is a Tech love story in this book?
All
right, I'm leaving. I'm going to pick up this book.
It's subtle, but it's like, they are flirting the whole time.
It's like flirting back and forth.
I need the Tech diaries, honestly. I know he has a diary. And I know he has a hololog.
Grant, you get his POV, and he's like so autistic, but
the best ways. He's like the best ways.
He's programmed to be special, and you just get his POV, and you're just like, oh, Tech,
he's neurodivergent in the best possible way.
Yes, that's what I was looking for.
There's literally a line I was going to read that it's very representative.
Like he can see himself acting like oddly, and is like, how do I tell this person I love her?
Not even perfect. That. Wow, that's pure. This author sounds like he really identified what would make Tech far more interesting, which is that he has to sort of deal with the inexplicable love, things like that, where it's like he's trying to explain everything and can't really explain feelings and things like that.
He nails it. It's a beautiful novel, and it totally gets all the characters.
I will read this at some point.
All right, one more paragraph. Okay, the birth of Sohi and Ponder's baby galvanized the two crews, and Crane is trapped by Celia. So Crane, the ISB agent, is trapped by Celia and abused in much the same way as he treated his pupils, Sohi being one of them. And Celia flies too close to the sun or the Death Star, and earns the ire of good friend Sheev, who sends his top enforcer to quiet her. Tech siphons off trillions from her money to fund Pabu. And that is our conclusion.
Yeah.
Can we talk about Celia Moten to start with? Because I've already sort of gone into it. So it's so prescient in that it's just like the villain is a billionaire. And so Grant, she owns all these corporations all across the galaxy, bajillionaire. And she really is like, I want to be a god. Have you watched that show that was it's like The Mountain, I think, or Tech Mountain. It's like about those like 4 billionaires, and one of them is Steve Carell.
I did watch it. And to my agonizing despair, I did watch it.
So they're trying
incredibly hard. I think it's called like Mountain Head or something. I don't know.
Mountain Head.
Like that. Is that what it's called?
So it's like a Mountain Head take on this character. Like that.
It's like a Sun Valley thing, right? Or it's like just a kind of parody of that or something, right? It's like a bunch of rich guys talking about TikTok.
It's like trying to paint a picture of a person that's more rich than you've ever thought of rich could be. It's like it's not about things, it's about I want to own concepts, and I want to own the demise of your religion, and that's why she collects objects. And one of these objects that they were paid to transfer, I think it was a double cross, but they it was like the last relic of a dead religion that she wanted to have. And but there was like actually like some members of it that were paying Clone Force 99 to procure this bowl and steal it from this billionaire auction that are buying all these things, including a tiny a teacup Gundark.
Yeah,
named Teacup.
Is there like a Star Wars version of Sotheby's or something? Is it like some sort of auction?
Well,
and is this character richer than like the Tag Industries or like Domina Tag and the other characters we've sort of seen? Who are
I would So there's a great moment. So Celia is a criminal, and then we have
Wait.
Crane,
And so it's like, what's the homeworld of the Chiss called?
Oh, dude, why you got to throw this stuff at me?
It's Celia, and then this character is called what?
Celia, Cellia, and it's not Celia. It's
okay.
Something
Right.
like that.
It's not the Chiss homeworld is something. It's Shira.
Okay, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I just every time you say that word,
could look it up right now, Adam.
My Star Wars brain sort of like just goes right to the Chiss homeworld. But okay, the way you spelt it makes sense.
It is. So it's Cilia. It's Cilla.
Oh, Scylla.
Okay. Scylla. Okay.
So this is Celia.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. I was just a little confused.
Completely different, Grant.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Celia Moten. So kudos to Lamar for creating a new space billionaire. But so her angle is that she's trying to be a regional governor, and this is early. This is 18 BBY. So there's no regional governors yet, but
this is before regional governors will have direct control over their sectors. Yeah. Okay.
Exactly. And so that's what she's angling towards, because she wants to be a god. Literally, it's exposed that she's like, I want to be a god. And
think that's obtainable. That's how crazy she is. Yeah.
Yeah, but in a billionaire sense, you don't even know what a god is. You don't pray to God. You're just you don't think, you're not religious. You just want to be a god, that sort of stuff. So she's fantastic. And there's a line, and the ISB agent Crane is in her, and he realizes that she's a terrible person. She killed Clone Force 99's contact in one of the early scenes. And what she does is she plants a tree on top of them, and she's like, oh, you're part of the Arbor. And she kills people constantly just because she can.
The point where where there's almost you could picture it, where they basically there's a video the camera draws back and there's just mounds of people in her basically backyard with trees on top of it.
You're in an orchard, and every tree represents someone she's murdered. And it turns out there's 5 or 6 orchards, or 7 or 8 orchards. Yeah. And you're oh, she's bad.
Yeah.
But so Crane's closing in on her. She has a thing called he finds her. She's like, you're a criminal. And he's like, he's a kind of ISB agent that would arrest you for jaywalking and throw you in the hole for the rest of your life. So this is the quote. Crane was so pleased to utter his next words. Celia Moten, by the authority of the Imperial Security Bureau, I'm placing you under. Celia interrupted him. Does Sheev know you're here? Sheev? I'm sorry, Emperor Palpatine. We're old friends. That's the line she pulls.
Wait,
there's so much Sheev in this book, and I love it so much.
There's a tech love story, and there's a ton of Sheev in this book.
Yes, there's a ton of name dropping of Sheev.
So just name dropping of Sheev.
So Ben, I had the exact same quote highlighted. I rolled to it, but the quote continues, because my favorite part's the second part of that quote, where he goes, yes,
we're old friends.
Palpatine, we're old friends. And I forgot, most of you may not refer to him as you know what? Never mind. I'm going to contact him and let him know that.
You know what?
Oh, that's right. Most of you don't refer to him as Sheev.
And so, and her backup was and her assistant's I don't know, we can't get Sheev. And she's like, well, call Moss. Moss Ameda.
Yeah. No big deal.
And Moss Ameda,
the Grand Vizier.
Yeah, the Grand Vizier, Moss Ameda. He does intervene and gets her off. And so Crane's like, who is this person? And she has a thing called a red file. And I was like, oh, is this Sith? Because it's double, the ISB can't read it.
Yeah.
And he has to usually go through back channels, and ends up running straight into Yularen suddenly hi, what are you doing? And Yularen, he ends up answering to Wolf Yularen about through the rest of this thing and his interactions. And he realizes, so this guy's a manipulator. He manipulates, he's really abusive of his people. Think the ballerinas, assassin sort of thing. That's kind of his MO with his ISB proteges. And he's manipulative and he's controlling and all this. But it's kind of poetic, because he gets controlled by the higher ups at by Celia Moten ultimately, and her comrades at the top end of government, which is such a fun dynamic.
Can I ask questions, being the outsider here?
Please.
So they are trying to procure funds to build up their outpost on Pabu, right?
Yeah, it's the giant tsunami that wrecks Pabu. So they're trying to rebuild. Yeah.
Okay. And then those funds get stolen by
one of Crane's proteges, his top protege.
Right. Yeah. And so the Bad Batch are involved in this in what way?
So they need that money. So they when they're robbed, they're like, we're going after this person, and they do, and they follow her. I think they follow her to this planet. Oh my gosh, I'm sort of.
Yeah, it's very winding. The plot's pretty winding, which is impressive.
Yeah, but they ultimately end up on this planet. Oh no, they don't. They're on a different planet. So they're sort of chasing down Sohee and her husband, who is a clone that impregnated her, which is huge, big news. And then so is Crane.
Clone. Okay.
Yeah, so they actually chase her to a couple different planets. And she gets the best of the Bad Batch. Like, she's an assassin her own way, though pregnant. Because she's this ISB badass. And so Crane, this dude Crane, his whole motivation is, this is the wonkiest part of the story for me, Adam, is he wants to get her back. So she was undercover. She's like an undercover spy that he sends out, and he would just literally abuse her.
Yes.
And she was finally like, I'm done. And she takes off, and he needs his whole motivation for all this. He's an ISB officer and he does that, but he needs to get his protege back.
Yeah.
To fulfill her training and her it's a little. I mean,
it's classic abusive things, right?
Yeah.
It's complete control. I need to control her, and now that she has freedom, it's not okay. He couches it in all of these oh well, I need to bring her back, and she's into the fold. But it's just an abusive relationship where basically he just wants to continue controlling her. It's really dire stuff when you're reading it. Yeah,
but there's so much Schadenfreude in this, because it's he's instantly controlled by Celia and his ISB higher ups.
Yeah.
And he's and suddenly he's trapped, and then his underlings are they don't know what's going on, and he's finds them insufferable because they're inept. It's a fun story for all of those characters.
The other thing I'll say that kind of from a pull back view for a second is it's interesting because Bad Batch, is an animated show, and it's not, it's I wouldn't say it's for kids, because it's not the most kids might not like the show, but it's not, it's written TVY or TV7, right? It's not.
Yeah, but it's mature even for Star Wars animation.
It's about the maturity you get other than Visions. But this book is hardcore. This book, there's words that they say that you would never be able to say in it. They say piss and bastard in it, which I was just not heavy swears, but wow. And there's a scene towards the end where a character gets beheaded, and you see it from his perspective, from the character's perspective. So the character sees from his eyes his head rolling off and seeing his body. This is
flipping upside down and rolling across the floor, and he's like, "What's going on?" And then he realizes
he's seeing the body without his head. This isn't a Bad Batch thing.
I know, and this is spoilers, and I don't want to ruin this for people, but.
You already did. You're in your synopsis. You said Sheev's enforcer.
Yeah, and it comes out of nowhere, bro. And it's because it's the POV of people that don't know who he is.
Yeah,
right. He's new. No one really knows.
Can we talk about how great Darth Vader is? Honestly, can we just talk about it for 25 minutes? No, we don't have to. But it's there's something I don't know. It's just magical about that character that is just terrifying. It's pure terror.
Yeah.
Yes.
It is pure terror, and that's why you need to read this book, because you need to experience it through Lamar Giles' words, because you get the POV of someone that doesn't know who he is, and that's even more terrifying. It's just this dark figure filling a thing, and so he's the person that dies is not Celia Moten, but she. We're left to imagine what happens to her.
Yes, you kind of know.
She's going to be tortured before she's killed, ultimately, because she's like, what is Sheev building, by the way?
Yeah, that's his thing. She's sniffing around and figuring out that there's some giant construction project happening. So
because so many of her companies are making these massive contracts going to the same place, and she's so she's connected enough to know something's going on. But she's dumb enough to tell Crane, like,
right,
God, like, what is, they end up, the ISB, Wolf Yularen's like, Crane, stick with her and follow her, because the last ISB agent assigned to her was killed. And they're like, we weren't able to prove it and we don't know what's going on, but like, you need to tell us what is she really like? What is she doing? And be an insider for us. And so that's how he gets sort of stuck there, because he has to be there. And so he's talking to her and she's just like, what is she? So he tells that to Wolf Yularen and he's like, I'm sorry, what? And then suddenly the whole conversation changes and Wolf is very cryptic on his like comm communiques. And he's like, okay. And he's like, yeah, just do that. Just go ahead. And, ultimately they swoop in and they don't even mess around with like troops or anything. They just send Vader.
No.
Like, and it's just like all they were doing that whole time is like, how far away is Vader right now? And they're like, okay, just bring him in.
It's so funny because when you're reading it, the second she like you realize she's sniffing out the Death Star, you're just like, well, and she's dead. Like you're like, this is not good, because there's a moment where she's like, she's like contemplating, like, maybe I can use this to like wiggle my way in and use this as an advantage. I'm like, oh no,
other
no,
thing,
no, don't.
Other thing,
yeah, no,
yeah.
That's so great.
This book, they're all great. This book's great. Like I was so shocked by how much I was in on this book, because I was just like, I'll read it and I enjoy the Bad Batch, but he totally gets the characters. Like his writing style of switching between hunters and techs and Wreckers perspectives is like spot on. There's also, talking about the credits, he wrote something. I'm just going to read something because I'm like, this is also the future we're living in, that he's just like, this is where it's going to be. So, all right. So basically he's talking to, he's the ISB agent is talking to I think a casino, right? I think it's a casino.
Oh, at the beginning of the book. Yeah.
And he goes, so you have a system that encodes all credits passing through your establishment with an algorithm telling you where they've spent next. It means you provide data on the patrons and gamblers who frequent your casino without their knowledge or consent, so you might create more bespoke experiences on their next visit, motivating them to spend and lose more credits. We're living in that. Like the fact that like now that we're getting to like all this crypto and stuff, like that's what people aren't realizing. It's all tagged. Like anytime you spend anything, like everyone can follow anything. And like you think we have, but like we think we have focused advertising now, it's going to be crazy once every single dollar we spend is tagged.
Yeah, it's illegal in the galaxy far, far away, but here it's just matter of course.
Yeah.
Okay, and we during the break we totally are done talking about politics in a certain area that's not.
This book sounds fascinating. I really want to give it and pick it up next time I'm out there. And when I see one.
I know what you like, so we've tantalized you with this, but we should talk about the Bad Batch themselves.
Yes.
They are all dealing with their own thing. Hunter is like kind of he has his own conflict where people are like, dude, they want a more democratic system. And Hunter's like, I'm the leader. Do what I say.
Yeah.
Because I know best. And he does know best, honestly. And they're constantly like, so Fee is like, this is my plan. Let me do my thing. And like, he's just sort of like, yeah, this is a terrible plan. And sure enough, it's a terrible plan. But he's trying to like get to his next phase. So that's very organic and nice. Tech is really just being awesome all the time.
Yeah. I want to read one quick description because this is what I was talking about. So it says, Tech did not roll with things. For his entire life, he utilized a shifting hierarchy of algorithmic calculations to determine optimal decisions. Data produced options, probability presented choices, choice determined action, simple. And I'm like, that is the best description of Tech.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's pretty much it, man. He's just so lovely.
I really love those characters quite a bit, and I actually love the Bad Batch series. Like I love that transition period from the Empire to from the Republic to the Empire, and I think that show sort of like encapsulates all that better than anything. And it's like, and this book just sounds like another piece to that journey, which is it's so fascinating.
So speaking of that transition period, I'm just going to like read quotes to you. I won't do too many more, but
I would love it.
Favorite.
No, this is like
so his description of like the galaxy right now is so great. It's just very simple. Battles have been fought here. It was as if the Clone Wars were some titanic beast that had stumbled through, taking bites out of this world, out of every world. Like just a great line.
Beautiful. That's a beautiful sentiment. Yeah.
The pros are wonderful. So they're lovely, but like the real standout for me was Wrecker.
Yes.
So like I just pulled this one. This probably isn't a direct.
You mean Ricka?
Ricka. Yeah, I guess so. Sometimes I just highlight passages to make a note because I'm like, I need to set assets. Like Wrecker might be the smarter one.
Yes.
Here's one quote.
You mean Ugg?
Yeah.
Caveman Wrecker is
the
smartest one. Okay.
Like in terms of his transition to normalcy, like his his thing is like he's actually a very introspective and smart person. When you think about like how their mutations sort of change them, like Hunter's almost like a Jedi, like he's wildly empathetic.
I think you could make an argument that he's almost force sensitive because a lot of things like just him having a bad feeling about something. I think Wrecker is sort of like he sort of says what's on everyone's mind, right? Like everyone's thinking something and Wrecker will just say it aloud.
Yes.
He's sort of
but it does come from somewhere. Like he's a thoughtful person. And and Tech is sort of like he's just constantly fighting against his analytical mind to be more human. But yeah, so this Wrecker gazed upon Hunter almost sympathetically. Because we know war, we can field strip any weapon that's ever existed. We've seen more death than the galaxy should allow. What Ponder's talking about for our kind, that's new. It's exciting. Like this is him trying to evolve. Like Ponder is the clone that impregnated a civilian.
He said field strip any weapon.
Yeah.
Wrecker. Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, like I'm not doing it.
I just can't picture the voice. Like I can't. It's like I don't know. It's interesting. I'm sure he nailed the voice.
We can field strip any weapon that's ever. Yeah, I can't do it.
Yeah.
You know what? It's imagine it in that thick drawl and there's he's the one that's like counterpoint to Hunter, and Hunter's wrestling with all these emotions, and Hunter's like, and Wrecker's just like, it's simple, bro. Like it's like I don't know where I want to end up. I don't know what's next, but this place seems pretty cool. Everything explodes here, and I like explosions. And like maybe this is my place. Oh, on this planet they're on, dude, it rains mercury.
Yes,
it's kind of awesome.
So cool. Yeah.
And then
do they have to wear like exosuits for that, or virus suits or something? Or is it
they just wing it, bro?
The mercury drip down their
it's just
bare
mercury
skin.
everywhere.
I love it.
Yeah. But you can imagine what it would look like on the big screen, like just like everything shimmering, and it rains mercury, and it's like
that's cool. I'm always thinking about new biomes, and I think that's a really cool idea.
It's super cool. Just the visuals would be amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then we have like Omega, who just feels like they just cut to her being terrifying a lot in this book. Like, they're all just debating about how to fight a robot, and then suddenly a hatchet goes flying into one of the robot's skull, and they cut to Omega being like, "Yeah, you were taking too long."
Yeah. And it's cool because like a clone impregnated a civilian, and she's giving birth, and the doctor's having trouble with it. And Omega steps in, and she's like, "No, you're messing this up. Like you need this and that because clone biology does X, Y, and Z." And it was a really cool moment. So she ends up like flexing her medical like healer muscles. Yeah. And they're like,
is that from just like shadowing Nala Se back?
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. And so that was, so that's kind of what she's doing. And she's just your usual cheery, just like, I want everyone to live together and be happy and, have it be a great thing. But, so there's a quote about this. I feel like we should talk about it at some point is, Tech said, then it was never clear if we clones could sire children.
Mm-hmm.
Meta. Right, like Fee was annoyed at the paltry calf offerings with picked up powder that seemed the least offensive. Seems like the mystery's been solved, Brown Eyes. How do you feel about that? But so they address it just like he's like, well, it wasn't clear whether they could make children, but this book's like, I mean, that's a lore thing. Like, clones can get people pregnant. How about that?
Which I don't think we've ever dealt with, right? It's never been a discussion.
Is there like sort of accelerated growth in the genetics of their offspring?
Unclear, because we only have the baby.
Yeah, but the baby seems normal.
Yeah. Okay. But that is huge. That is something that like never has been in anything else that clearly had to get permission from, the story group to have that. Yeah.
Yeah, but it was kind of cool having a Mega because they did deal with like the natal complications of it.
Yeah.
And it was different natal, but like they never talked about like, oh well, now your baby's going to grow at an advanced rate. Like they never mentioned that at all. But at least there were some sort of prenatal sort of affairs that were going on there because of their biology.
I have a quick question to not change so completely. Well, I'm going to. How did Tech die? I remember he fell, right? But did he? Yeah. Was he using his grappling hook?
He fell into his death, sadly.
It was like Plan 99. He was hanging off. I think he was hanging off a thing. There was too much weight. They couldn't bring him up, and so they had to cut.
But he had the grappling.
He cut his own wire. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So there's two things. They talk about Plan 99 in this book, which I think is great. But there's another one that says, basically just and it's so the grappling gun servos worked overtime to pull them up into the cargo bay. Wrecker returned the grappling gun. Tech crested lovingly, saying, "Hasn't failed me yet."
Oh,
so I'm
no.
like, oop, there's some foreshadowing.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. So we've been talking at you a lot, Grant, now and audience, and I just sort of am like, I don't know, the book's good, but I'm trying to think, like,
it's really good. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, like what.
I thought grappling weapons were called ascension pistols in Star Wars. I think they were called grappling.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I don't remember like apex nerd nonsense to this, but it's just like there's just certain things I feel like are labeled ascension.
That's why you have a Star Wars editing crew. Right? They should have caught that and changed it.
Right. They should have caught it.
All that stuff.
I hate it when stuff like that slips through. It's like this isn't Nom. There are rules.
It's also because we don't have editors anymore. No one edits anymore. There's no job for editors.
Right. Anyways, ascension pistols. I thought that was a thing. Anyways, I thought that was one unique thing Star Wars did. Essentially, it was not use the word grappling, but that's fine. Cool. No, I'm into it. So we have Tech. We have Wrecker. Do we have Echo? Is there any Echo stuff in this at all?
They're gone. Echo.
Any recollection of Echo?
Echo's split out to hang. Search for other clones with Rex.
Rex, yeah.
They do mention it a couple of times that he's gone. But really, yeah.
And there's a very heartfelt like dream that like so as Hunter's sort of wrestling with his next moves. He has a dream that he's hanging out and talking with Crosshair. And,
I was about to ask you about Crosshair too, because I'm like, there's got to be a Crosshair moment in these books. Somewhere.
I would say that dream's probably it, and he's just like, and I think. I don't know about you, but I've had these dreams where you like wake up and you're like, oh my God, I love that person. Like you a conversation, it could be a deceased relative or like something, and you're just like, oh, that person's like fantastic. And he wakes up being like, I love Crosshair. Like as much as I disagree with his path, like he's my boy. Like we should, it kills him.
That episode is probably the best episode of Bad Batch, wherein Crosshair is dealing with that clone on that Arctic planet, it's like the clone is so mistreated and sort of cast aside by this new Imperial sort of like regiment that like Crosshair is sort of like broken by it and like has this sort of like moral epiphany to like do the right thing. And I was like, this is how you make a turn in sort of like a moral flip. Really, is this situation? And I thought that was just so well executed.
Yeah, and I have to assume Filoni wrote that, right? So it's like that's a great beat.
It kind of goes back to what we were talking about with the Hunt for Ben Solo in terms of this is one of those rare occasions where they spent a lot of time in season 3 about his redemption, right? Yeah. Like I never thought they would do that, and I was so pleased that they told that story, and it made sense of why he came back to the fold. Like just that episode is amazing. I've just watched
the episode's so good. My God, I want to watch that episode.
Him realizing what the Empire actually thought of clones. It's amazing.
Yeah, and it's kind of like it's like you're trying for redemption, but he still can't shoot. Like he's like the one thing he's best at, he can't do. It's like I'm back and I'm apologetic and I'm trying to be on the right path, but I can't do I'm not the person that you knew me as. Like,
which reminds me, Ponder's specialty is sniper.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a nice little moment of like kind of again, it's a lot of crosshayers of them realizing how much they need him and kind of missing him and their crew.
Yeah. So Grant, real quick. So Ponder is the partner of Gayla, who's her real name, but she goes by Sohi because she's trying to disassociate herself from her abuse. So Ponder was a sniper. He went on a mission to Malacontra, I think is the name.
And he's a clone.
He's a clone.
Yeah.
And so what happened to him is he went on a mission and he was the only one that survived. And they talk about there's superstitions in Camino. And it's sort of like the one guy that survives, no one wants to go out with because they're worried that like anyone that's on a mission with them will all die. And so they made him, and he lost his leg.
That's kind of a war film pastiche though. It's like that idea is in a lot of war films.
Yeah, but I thought it was a nice piece of like nuance.
Yeah, no, that's great. I like that.
Lamar brought in there.
Makes sense.
And so he became a cook, and he lost the leg too. So he had like a prosthetic leg and was a cook, but he was a sniper in what he was doing, and he could hold his own in a fight too. But he's interesting, and he definitely had some sort of like there's this line right here. Then the queasy feeling hit, the same feeling he'd had before his squad got blown out of the sky on Metalorn. That's the name. It was enough to slow him down and save his life. A blaster bolt sizzled the ground a meter from his feet. And I was like, does he have the Force, or is this the Force directing Ponder? It's just one of those little Star Wars moments that are like, right, like this happens a lot, doesn't it? In Star Wars,
the Force is in everything that's Star Wars, right? Isn't the Force also like, even if there's no one who's Force sensitive, isn't the Force still at work everywhere?
Yes.
In the galaxy? Yeah, 100%. Yeah, the will of the Force.
I'm noticing it more now. It's like obviously like surrounds Cassian Andor and like all these Han Solo and all these characters, but it's a sort of like that was that, so is it Lamar Giles? I think.
The author you said.
I'm just trying. I just don't want to say it wrong. Yeah, Lamar Giles. Like he gets it clearly. Like that's one of those little nuanced Star Wars things that he's like, yeah, you do that, and just lovely, lovely writing.
He was tasked with writing a episode of The Bad Batch that takes place between other episodes that is non-consequential in terms of like you have to write this in between other stuff, and yet. I mean, it just is a hell of a read. I'm blown away with this, given that kind of assignment to be able to do this book. Yeah.
I think Lucasfilm's getting this right. They're sort of, they have their cadre, they have their bullpen of writers that are fantastic. I mean, they really wrung, their all-stars dry. I mean, Claudia Gray and Charles Soule and et al. Like they must just be like, can I just take a time out and write something other than Star Wars for a hot minute?
So there's also there's a very interesting ecosystem surrounding Star Wars authors, because I've been kind of paying attention to this because I've been buying a ton of ebooks, and there's this whole thing. It's called BookBub. If anyone's curious, that gives you like daily deals on ebooks that are like ebooks on sale for 99 cents. I get it every day, and now have like 30 ebooks that I've bought in the past 2 months that are just sitting on my Kindle.
Cool.
Through Amazon, wherever, it's good. But what I've noticed is like I will skim through, and if it's an author I know from Star Wars, I'll just buy it for 99 cents if it's outside of Star Wars, because I'm like, I want to know what you're doing, right? And I started kind of paying attention to this and what they're doing, which makes sense. And I was talking to my wife about this, who kind of wants to break into writing young adult stuff, is that like this is a great gig to have, because it gets you a ton of readers, and then you write like 10 books in Star Wars, and then you have the people that are aware who you are, and then you move on to writing your own stuff, right? And so I feel like it's a great system that I feel like Claudia Gray and Teresa Gratner and all these other ones are kind of moving away from Star Wars because they've built up their readership, right? And then we get these new wave of authors that are coming in to build it up, and it's a really cool system.
And then the nenext couple of books are new authors as well. The young adult novel, which is a sequel to Rise of Skywalker. I'm really excited to read that.
I forgot this.
It's definitely an African name. I don't know if he like lives in Africa or what, but I haven't done research on the author yet. But
is it the Last Order book?
Yeah, the Last Order. It looks fascinating, and because it's that show we thought would be made. It was an outside chance to be made, but it's about not Dana. I always think Darth Zana. It's Janna, and and Finn sort of like tracking down other ones of their mates, or I think ultimately trying to find Lando Calrissian's daughter. But
Kwame Mabalia, I think is his name.
Great.
But so I'm just like, okay, new voice, interesting time period. And then like I read the first chapter, and it like reads like an EU book. It's like there's Lando, there's like the whole cast is just like right there, and there's Poe, and there's Finn, and all these like big name characters, and they're all in it, together, where it's like, the EU books would just be like, there's the big three, and there's Admiral Akbar, and there's Mon Mothma, and like it kind of feels like that. So I don't know,
major players type stuff.
And usually those like young adult novels are just as rigorous lore wise as the adult novels. So,
which, by the way, the Bad Batch is it falls into that young adult umbrella. And
does it really? I thought this was a novel.
No, I'm pretty sure. Let me check my spreadsheet. YA. Yeah, YA.
Okay.
This Last Order YA. And
it didn't feel YA to me. I thought this was like novel.
That's the thing. So. A lot of it is basically, I think, the length of the book sometimes. But I've made this argument a million times. I'll do it one more time. I just think that's where the juice is. YA novels is exactly where Star Wars lives, right? Because young adult sounds like you're writing for like 10-year-olds, but really it's high schoolers. Like it's a high school age reading, right?
Yeah, and we talked about, a lot of people say Star Wars is for kids, but Adam and I had this really fun conversation where I was almost arguing that I think Star Wars is for teenagers, because like when I was younger, I loved Star Wars. I was totally infatuated with Star Wars when I was, younger than 12 years old or whatever. I was into it, but when I was a teenager, I was like, it was another level of obsession. I can't even explain to you the level of obsession I had when I was a teenager with Star Wars. Yeah. It was bizarre. It was almost an illness.
No, again, same. Yeah, it was the same thing. It was like I thought I was a fan, and then I got to teenage years, and I'm like, I'm just gonna like secretly read everything and like just
watch everything, read everything. Yeah, like think about it all the time. Yeah.
Oh, good for you guys. I had a massive lull. I was super into it young, and then. Yeah. And then obviously in college when I came, I mean, I always loved it and obsessed with it. Right? Yeah. Like, but I casually read the books.
Yeah.
And none of the comics, and it was just sort of, but like just adored all those things and thought about the nuance a lot. But then it just sort of grew. Like then the prequels came out and it started to snowball for me.
I got so far back into it too when I was in grad school. Like college, I took time off in college. And again, I was still watching it when it was like the video store, and then got to grad school and I'm like, I could write this paper or I could read a Star Wars novel. And that's when I created my Star Wars EU in universe chronological reading order. And I'm like, I could write my dissertation or I could sit on my couch and read a Star Wars novel. And like, I just,
you need that. You need that.
Yeah. College for me was more of like the what inspired Star Wars. I was going into all the work that basically inspired George and sort of like I was exploring Japanese cinema and I was exploring, classic war films. I was exploring lots of stuff that I think inspired Star Wars, and I was kind of fascinated with how did this even come to be, and sort of left Star Wars behind to explore in my own way, like what all that sort of inspirational material was. And and then after college, I got back into Star Wars. There was games, obviously. Everything was. It was getting a resurgence, with the Disney acquisition, things like that. It was just very cool. So, but then I didn't love the sequels. I'm just one of those people who just I wasn't grabbed by the sequels and thrown back into it
in that grant.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to leave a huge cultural footprint like the.
It's weird. I thought they would be like we're almost 10 years, right? Oh, we're 10 years from The Force Awakens.
Yeah, we are where we should be for nostalgia territory.
It should hit now. Like it should start hitting now, and it's not.
That might be why they're having the like little timeout. Is like anyone like they're trying to create demand again by having a.
I will say, not to bring. Hey, we're gonna go full circle. It's almost like a professional podcast. So like the whole thing about the Hunt for Ben Solo stuff that I find fascinating is how much the fan base has rallied around it to the point where like renting protests. They're renting planes to fly banners over it. Where I'm like, it's interesting that I never thought I would see the fan base be that worked up over a canceled thing coming out of the sequels, right? Never. So I'm like, maybe there's some juice there. Maybe something's. I keep saying juice. I don't know what's going on with me tonight, but maybe there's something.
You a juice guy now, Adam?
Apparently that's a thing. Apparently that's my thing now. That's my identity. It's getting a giant T-shirt.
It's full send that juice. Yeah,
like never said that. It's like that's the thing. I never say something and I say it once, and I'm just like whatever. But like I feel like there's something going on, right? Like maybe there is that nostalgia is weirdly starting to kick in. I don't know. It's a weird rallying point that I never thought would happen.
Yeah,
those people are insane. Like I feel like I don't know. Is it the infatuation with Adam Driver? Is it like
maybe the
love of the sequels? Like, I'm just interested to understand what
or just Star Wars fans being annoyed at what they can't get.
I think this is these are your brothers and sisters in arms. I think they're like, give us a lore-based Star Wars. Like, give us something with meat on the bone, that's going to expand the galaxy and the lore and be a real Star Wars again.
Yeah. Or for me, I don't know. I mean, I'm just one in a billion of ideas here, but it's like I can't believe they didn't take this time to sort of go back in the prehistory and sort of do an Old Republic thing while they think of a post-sequel trilogy idea. You know what I mean? Like, it's just crazy to me because I'm like,
there's so much.
There's so much you could do right there, and then you're just waiting for Daisy Ridley to get a little older and become this whole different character in a totally different trilogy, and then in that time you have this ability to sort of go back and do this epic, right? And it's just amazing that they didn't take that turn. That's just like amazing to me because it's almost like, hey, you didn't like the sequels, here's a completely different breed of Star Wars, maybe you'll like this.
It's grand and epic.
Yeah, it's huge.
And it would really check the sort of mass market box. I think they wanted to do what you were talking about, but they are under, it's like an 8-year gun, which like 8 years sounds like a lot of time, but they need to have like every 8 years, they need to like invite a new generation of fans in.
Yeah.
And it's just taking too long. You know, they had the sequel with Rey, and that's just been there. And then they had the far prequel with Mangold. And it's just like both just sort of are.
That's too far though. That's way too. That's needlessly far. That's needlessly distant.
That's never going to happen, right? Can we just agree that movie's never going to happen?
It also should never happen. Why would you explain the origin of the Force and like the Jedi? Like that's just ridiculous. It makes no sense.
But
just do some Game of Thrones from the past. Like, obviously, Ben Affleck and Weiss maybe shouldn't be the people to do it, but like do something that is like Old Republic, Jedi v Sith Wars. The Sith have a huge, a massive control of the galaxy, right? Like they have a ton of space, and there's Sith space, right? There's a whole region that's dedicated to the Sith. The Sith have maybe conquered the core, which is like fascinating starting point. It's like, wow, we're back with like an imperial regime basically controlling a lot of the galaxy. It's the Sith. You do all this Jedi Sith stuff. And then what I think is actually a prudent point that I would love to make is that I think you're backfilling too close to the narrative you just told.
Yes.
You basically can do a lot of the same backfill work you're doing way in the past and make all these correlations.
And you have no idea what's going to happen. And it's not. Yep.
You can still do a ton of the
correlations. It doesn't have to be 10 years before. Yeah.
Yeah, because it doesn't have to be right next to it. It doesn't.
1,000 years, 10,000 years, literally anything can happen because it will not impact the original trilogy.
And the Acolyte, I think, proves that point as well. It's like, hey, let's explore the Virgins and let's explore prophecy and let's explore all this dark side sort of secret arts and stuff like that. And like, but we don't have to do it like the year before all that stuff is discussed. We can do it like 300 years before all that stuff is discussed.
I've seen some great essays from people about how Acolyte sets up the prequel trilogy, and they're like, it does great work.
Yeah, it does, but I unneeded backfilling to me. That's just my my opinion.
But it's just doing that work that you're saying. It's like it's 150 years before or whatever, and
but it's more of like it's more of like
connect.
Yeah,
I like the
like an offspring of evil can be good,
like
right? Right.
Yes, and so that's the thing is like I want the backfill that explains the themes, not explains, but connects to the later themes, right? Where you're explaining how the Force connects stuff. So you know me, I always like to go into try to get into the mind space of the creatives, like in terms of like the larger. I don't know why my brain does that, but I'm like, I cannot. I feel like this episode, the theme is Adam cannot understand what's going on in the brains of executives. Like I cannot get it because you think it would be so predictable, right? We have Game of Thrones was the biggest thing when it ended. You now have like Amazon spending all of the money on Lord of the Rings.
Wheel of Time.
You got the Wheel of Time. You have all of these things. And you're like, Star Wars, not like, I don't know, we have an entire era that's kind of the same thing. And no one pulled the trigger on that. Like, I understand it didn't happen, but it should have been one of those things where it was like literally about to start filming and they pulled the plug, but it didn't get that far along. It's crazy to me. That
it feeds into a larger argument that I have that's like, there's almost no visionary capable of rendering that.
Yeah.
It's like, because the person has to be an uber nerd to do this. Basically, they have to like invent all these houses and the Jedi.
It would have to be like a
and,
Project
the
Luminous, where you
and-
get a bunch of minds together in
it's close.
I don't want that. I don't want Star Wars by committee ever again. I never want a writer's room on any sort of Star Wars project ever. I want a singular visionary to take control. I don't know who it is. I just want something to happen that feels like George in a way. And like, there's not, Leslie was able to do it.
Ryan Johnson
has shown
and
glimmers of it. Ryan was able
writers.
to do it to an extent. Like there's certain people who can do what I'm talking about. I think if you do Star Wars by committee, it's just going to end up like
it's watered down.
Episode of the week. It's going to feel very episodic. It's going to feel very like I don't know. I just don't think it's a good idea.
The other thing I'm just done with is not trusting your audience, and I feel like a big part of it was maybe they started pitching it. And they're like, well, they won't understand the time period because, like, okay, so earlier today is my second podcast of the day. I feel very professional, and I was talking about the movies. I was talking about the movies Hannibal and Red Dragon today.
Oh, cool!
Oh, great.
Yeah. Those movies are awful. Those movies suck so bad. I got on the panel. Everyone loved them.
I mean, they're not Silence of the Lambs, but
that's the thing.
Yeah,
they're not even.
They're measured against. It's like a Star Wars problem. You're measured against Empire.
So this is the thing, and it's the thing. The podcast should be coming out by the end of the year. I will plug it when it's live. I'll plug it. You can listen to it because I go hard, as opposed to everyone's like, I think I kind of like it. I'm like, these suck. They're awful. And you know me. I usually am not that guy. But the thing I hate about them is they think their audience is dumb, and I feel I'm so done with that of just doing like things that I'm like, you trust your audience. Trust your audience.
I feel like Julianne Moore didn't need to be Clarice Starling. Like,
oh my god, it's so bad. Yeah, and I like Julianne Moore. She's a very talented.
I love Julianne Moore.
Of course, she's a treasure.
No, I can't do it again. You can listen to the podcast. I went.
I feel like she goes in and out of the Southern twang too, which is
she does.
A huge issue.
Doing an impression.
It drives me bonkers.
It drives me insane.
People do that with a Boston accent. They're like, "Am I done? Do I have to keep doing this?"
Yeah, it's just not there in a scene or something. You're like, "Wait, you're what?" Like, I'm so confused.
All right, I'll do this again. So in Hannibal, there's a scene where there's a guy who's ate his own face because whatever, and he gets Hannibal Lecter's face thing from Silence of the Lambs, and I'm like, why would he care about that? So in Hannibal, there's clearly a world where everyone has watched Silence of the Lambs that knows that face guard was a thing, because you wouldn't know that in the world because that was the thing he wore in his psychiatric unit. It makes no sense anyway. Those movies suck so bad. I'm angry.
Yo, but the Mads Mikkelsen TV series I thought was really good.
So good. It is so good. Not talking about that. The Hannibal TV show is amazing.
They got that right. That was a beautiful.
It's almost should have been Silence of the Lamb one and done because that movie's a masterpiece. Jonathan Demme is just incredible.
It's a masterpiece. And my other thesis, I'm just regurgitating everything because I just already is that Silence of the Lambs is the perfect mix of horror and procedural, and that's why it works. Yeah. And Hannibal is all horror and not procedural, and Red Dragon's all procedural and not enough horror, and that's why both those movies do not work because they don't understand the formula.
That's a little teaser for you think you
also you haven't seen what? Yeah, you haven't seen what? Have you ever have either of you watched Manhunter before?
Yes, of course. It was lovely.
A long time ago. Yeah.
I just watched it right after watching Red Dragon. Never watched it before. Red Dragon's literally a scene for scene remake of Manhunter. And like, so why does this exist? It's crazy.
Didn't Manhunter come out after it though?
No, Manhunter was 19. Oh no. So the Manhunter Mako Man 1986 movie based on Red Dragon. So yes, I forgot there was anyway, it is like it's crazy how close those two movies are. Anyway.
Okay. We digress here. I think
whatever.
I'm into it.
Poor list. It's lovely. It's great conversation and something I'd love to.
Those movies are always like free to watch on like random streaming services too. I'm like, do you want to watch Hannibal? Do you want to watch Red Dragon? I'm like, not really.
Here's the thing.
I watched Manhunter on Tubi.
Yeah. Do I have Tubi?
Yeah, it's free. They make it very clear it's free as long as you don't mind watching the same Cialis commercial 30 times.
I love that. All right, this was super fun. Not even sure what the next episode is going to be about. I have a feeling it's going to be about like this one where we talk about in Galaxy Star Wars, and it'll be fun because it takes a minute to get all our schedules together with Pixel Senku, and it takes a while to edit those. It turns out, so we're going to keep both going, but we're grateful for you. For listening to us. We love doing this, and thanks for listening. Appreciate it. But we will talk to you soon, probably next week on Cantina Chronicles.
Oh yeah,
for sure. Cool. Thank you for listening to this episode of Cantina Chronicles. Please like and subscribe wherever you listen to this pod. You can reach us at Cantina Chronicles on Instagram or cantinachronicles@gmail.com.